Welcome, 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 welcome. I'm so happy that you're here. And I have been having a lot of fun putting this all together. And in fact, I don't know if this presentation would even happen without one of the AI apps that I'm going to share with you. So, it's a lot of fun to be kind of here on what I like to call the bleeding edge, both experimenting and sharing in real time. I guess to some extent, you could say that I'm building the plane while I fly it. But anyway, like this is the full stack, right? And it's been interesting to me to kind of document it. There are about 20 apps that I use in a variety of categories. So I've organized them as I'm about to show you. And, I'm hoping that it gives you as much value as I can possibly provide within about 45 minutes. I'm going to walk through the full stack, and then we'll have time for fully interactive Q&A. My cohort and longtime associate Vince Castellano is in the chat. I won't be able to watch the chat, so save your questions to the end if you can. Unless there's something like I'm not sharing my screen properly or whatever, feel free to jump on and interrupt and help me correct course. But other than that, we're going to rock and roll. So this is the app map that I created. So there's going to be a few marketing, what I call relationship builder programs that I use in my marketing work. There are personal productivity enhancers. Then, as many of you know, I'm a video guy, and so I have a whole section on video communications and the video apps that I've landed on. And then everybody's favorite generative AI for that are co-creators with us. I'm a big believer in the human in the loop, and we'll talk more about that. But you don't need to take notes. So this presentation that I'm showing you is going to become a PDF. As you'll see, I've got all the links built into it for you. So you'll be able to download the PDF. I'll send it to you after and click on whatever links you want and visit whatever websites you want. So, and we'll do Q&A at the end, live event style. So, but I'm going to break the menu and show you an app ahead of the game. This is an AI app called napkin.ai. And again, the link's at the bottom. So basically, I took the bullet points that you see here, the 1, 2, 3, 4 structure, and I just fed it into this incredible AI diagram producer. I had options up the wazoo in terms of what kind of chart I wanted to create. I did not select any of these emoticons. I pretty much put it as is. All I did was change the title, but each one of these icons was automatically selected by AI. And it also added these little text descriptions, which I certainly could have edited, but it's a really nifty little program and very fun to work with. So there's application number one. But let me just do a couple of quick logistics. So these apps are my personal recommendations. I mean, I spend probably more time than I should researching, experimenting, and these are all the apps that I use on a regular basis. Like I said earlier, except maybe the music one is the exception. I do have affiliate link relationships with some of these companies, and I've clearly labeled those as affiliate links. They're optional. You don't need to click on them, but it's a free webinar. And if you feel like using any of these apps that have affiliate links and you want to support me, I might get, a free cup of coffee basically, or a little bit of kickback. That's what affiliate links do. But, understand me that I'm not trying to make money off affiliate links. It'd be nice if that happens a little bit, but these are the apps I recommend and wholeheartedly endorse. And then the one other request that I have for you is at the end, follow-up email, whatever. I didn't get it together to do a survey, but where do you want more of this? Right? In the Q&A, you can ask me to demo something that I might not have shown or go deeper with something else. But in general, are you more interested in productivity? Are you more interested in video? Are you more interested in AI? Please let me know, because I like doing webinars. At least one of you was on a webinar that I did last week about AI trends for social media marketing for the National Institute for Social Media. And I'm interested in doing more of this kind of thing. I'm going to bring my YouTube channel back to life shortly, my Video Mojo podcast. And, what I want to do is what you want me to do. So how can I best serve? Really quick background. I've been kind of leaning into this a little bit more recently and acknowledging the fact that I have been a media innovator, I can say, for half a century. Like my buddy Vince and I were talking about earlier, we did a TV show way back in the 70s. And I started a narrowcast radio network also in the 70s. I was a founder of the creative services department at the USA Cable Network. And then as I became an entrepreneur, and this January was the 40th anniversary of me being self-employed, I discovered this mission about spanning the Grand Canyon gap between people and technology. And that really has been a thread that has run through everything. I got to do some Vision of the Future videos for Pac Bell and a demonstration of interactive TV before there was interactive TV for Oracle that was displayed at the Epcot Center at Disney World, and have just been doing websites and digital marketing and talking about new technology. And then all of a sudden things went into hyperdrive with AI. And so that's integrated into the mix. But all of that's to say, I come by this knowledge and this expertise pretty honestly and through a long time of being at the leading edge of technology. And I'm going to hit that red. So anyway, that's the context for me personally. I just love this stuff and I love sharing about it. The mission of spanning the Grand Canyon Gap is something that I've been doing for a long time. When I did one of my first videos about the digital video revolution, I invented something that I call media proverbs. And the one that I want to invoke today is just because you can doesn't mean you should. So I know it can be overwhelming to look at 20 apps in half an hour or so. I don't expect anybody to want to use all of them. And in fact, I don't think it's a good idea. And as was true as it became more empowering with video technology, it's also true with AI and these other cloud softwares that often it's better to have a team. So just because you could do everything doesn't mean that you should. And that's part of, kind of how one should think about the implementation. So beware of overwhelm, cherry pick the things that are best for you. And obviously, this is not a comprehensive collection. This is just the things that I use and have found useful. Is that all clear? Any, I'm seeing nodding heads. I like that. Thank you. So, chapter one. These are the software platforms that I use in my marketing communications to help build relationships. The number one really has to be Kit, formerly known as ConvertKit. And it's what's called an email marketing service provider. And it provides a lot of you may be familiar with Constant Contact or MailChimp. The one that's up and coming these days is Substack. But I like Kit because of the creator culture. And it does a lot more than email. In fact, it does simple landing pages. All of you who are here live registered in a landing page that I created in Kit. And I also want to kind of underscore from a marketing point of view that landing pages are becoming in some ways more important than websites, because it's where you begin to really communicate with someone is when they subscribe to your list or when they register for a webinar or when they download a free PDF. So for example, even my links page that I use to network with people, I built this links page, which has my latest emails on it and so forth, in ConvertKit, in Kit. They rebranded as Kit recently. So that's part of the process for sure. Obviously, working on email is a big, long story, but on the marketing side, in terms of my bread and butter, I'm doing more email marketing than anything else at the moment. I do websites, I do social media marketing, I do video also, but email marketing has been really kind of key, and it's one of those technologies that's not going away. It tends to get overlooked because social media, for example, and social video right now are really hot, but you build relationships and stay in touch with people through email. So that can't be overstated. I could go on about that, but I'm going to move on. So the other one that probably a lot of you are familiar with is Canva. I use Canva all the time. It's really kind of a Swiss Army knife. I could do a whole webinar on all of the things that are available inside Canva. It now has AI. It has. I've in the webinar that I did last week, I showed an automation where we could use AI to get a list of quotes and automatically build those into quote graphics. They have a video editor. I use it to edit graphics. Sometimes when AI is kludgy, I can Photoshop basically those images in order to correct text or erase kludgy text or that kind of thing. I mean, Canva is unbelievably powerful. I pay for it and have a professional account. It's basically indispensable for me as a marketer. And websites is a very controversial subject, but I've pretty much standardized on Squarespace. I developed something a while back called the one-to-one get it done Squarespace website session, where it's a done with you process where I teach people how to build a Squarespace website and do it with them. And I just bring that up because it speaks to the ease of use. Other things that are worth mentioning here, Wix is very much like Squarespace, as is WordPress.com. There's the more advanced version of WordPress, which, full disclosure, my combridges.com website is still in WordPress because I have years of content on there, and porting it over is kind of daunting. So there are lots of options for websites, and I'm going to show you an option for even simpler websites in a second. But I find it easy to use. The templates are clean. If you have a small e-commerce need, that's pretty easy to set up. And I like the fact that it's what's called a walled garden. One of the problems with hosted WordPress is that you have to deal with the security, you have to deal with the software updates. All of that is baked in to the Squarespace platform, and it makes it much simpler for small businesses. Again, I actually have done workshops on why I do Squarespace over WordPress, but that's definitely part of my kit, and I'm working on Squarespace often for clients every week. The Circle is where I host my Creativity Sandbox community and online courses when I do them. The community dimension of marketing, for those of you that aren't involved in it every day, has become really an important area. And I listed just a few of the alternatives, like School with a K, Mighty Networks, and also Slack communities and Discord communities, among others. It's an area where you can interact with people. And in the case of my Creativity Sandbox, we're doing private live weekly sessions. Members are sharing. And one of the things I really like about it that I have not seen as well implemented in the competition is the ability to upload video, or also to embed video from YouTube or TikTok and other places. They have built-in live streaming events. There are also areas where you can connect to other Circle networks, and both, for example, Ali Abdaal and Pat Flynn are creators that I follow and who I've learned from directly, and they have Circle networks, so that Circle communities, so that works well. It's really kind of a cultural thing. This is not a black and white decision, but it's one that I like and feel comfortable with because of the support community that comes with it, as well as about as clean interfaces I've seen. They're all a little bit problematic, and there is a kind of a learning curve for people who are doing their first online communities, no matter where you host it. But I really like Circle, and I'm happy to endorse them. And there's the affiliate links should you be so inclined. So the other thing that I mentioned a second ago is how important landing pages are. And this is an app, this is kind of a more below the radar app that a lot of people haven't heard of. And, because landing pages are so important, it's kind of like today's invitation online, that you don't necessarily need to build a full website. Within Kit, you can do a simple landing page like the one that you registered for this webinar in. But let me show you, for example, I did a landing page for my creativity consulting. And this is inside of Card. And Card, I think it's something like $5 a year. It's very inexpensive. Embedded videos, and a vertical format that's very mobile friendly. So this kind of a scrolling layout and an evolving story is something that is very good, and I can link directly to my scheduling page, which I'm going to show you in a minute. But this is a very valuable alternative when you want to do a little more in-depth sales pitch, if you will. Provide sections that really tell a story and could build a relationship through the page. So I think this is an important app that provides an extra dimension to my arsenal, because sometimes one, I'll say frankly, a limitation inside Circle is their landing pages, which they call lock screens. If you have a paid community, you have a lock screen before people can get into the paid community. I'm going to be redoing this Creativity Sandbox web page, landing page, because the one on Circle, it doesn't have the flexibility that I want. So that's the other marketing piece. So chapter 1 complete. Chapter 2, personal productivity enhancers. So we live our lives on our computers these days. So these are the apps that on the personal side I use to leverage computer technology to be better organized and more effective. The first one that is what's called my second brain. And if you don't know Tiago Forte's work, he has a book by that title. And essentially, it's where do you keep the data? Because we can't remember everything, obviously. There's way too much information. And so within Notion, I have nested notebooks and documents. It's my go-to for note-taking, but it's really quite extensive. There's a bit of a learning curve depending on how far you want to go with it. It even has interactive relational databases, which I'm going to show you one real quick. And anything that you're doing inside Notion can be published as a web page. So people are actually delivering entire courses on the inside Notion. For example, I did a productivity workshop in January with Ali Abdal, and he provided full worksheets and basically the background or workbook for the course as Notion documents, which I copied over into my Notion. So speaking of my Notion, just to give you a taste, this is a lot of tabs that I've got over here. Those are all documents and documents within documents. So for example, Pat Flynn's email course, these are my notes in here for that course. And I do screen grabs. I love taking notes because it helps me learn better. But what I wanted to show you in here I went too far, sorry. What I wanted to show you in the content dashboard is that this is a template from another course that I did about content marketing. This is an example of a relational database. Full disclosure, you can see I haven't used it since September, so I haven't really kept up with the system. But I've got a system here for publishing content. And each time I publish a piece of content, when I use this system, I can choose between what's my call to action. CTA for you non-marketers is call to action. And does this piece of content giving away a freebie, invitation to join the community, a pitch for my one-to-one creativity consulting, just general engagement, email list with no freebie or no CTA. So it really is a amazing way to keep things organized. And each one of these databases can be linked to other things. You also can look at it in Kanban style as a board, so you can move a piece of content that's not started to in progress, to drafted, to published, to edited, etc. And these are the ones that actually got posted when I was using the system. So that's a quick peek at Notion. It's just phenomenally powerful. But I'm going to save time to give you more AI demos. The other thing that I use all the time, and this is something that is almost like a religious thing for me, I hate Microsoft Word. Okay, I'm just going to say it. But Google Docs is where I use where I publish documents, where I write things. It's cloud-based, so that's the first thing. Is I'm not saving documents to my hard drive. Anybody that's ever lost a hard drive or had it crash or whatever and not been able to find it, because it's in the cloud, all the docs are there automatically backed up. You can't lose them when you lose your computer. And they're also wonderfully collaborative. So I have spreadsheets, for example, in Google Sheets that we manage for clients. We have a client that we manage all of, kind of like we're accountable in terms of what's going on with their revenue and their profitability. And we update, I have an associate that updates that Google Sheet, but I can see it. I can share it with the client. The client can see it. It's a collaborative environment. And this is kind of, Google Docs counts as a suite because there's Google Docs, which are like the Word docs. There are Google Sheets, which are basically spreadsheets like Microsoft Excel. Google Slides, I actually did vision boards in that Ali Abdaal workshop in Google Slides, which was a really fun, easy way to do it. And if you're wondering about revision history, I think, how to track changes in Word, there's something in Google Docs called revision history that I like even better. So I hate Microsoft, and I don't think you should use it. This is one of the more expensive things that I actually pay for. But I use Superhuman for my personal email. It has essentially a bunch of keyboard shortcuts that are single. Like I click E to delete an email, and I can move through my inbox. I don't know what the percentage is. I've never measured it, but I was going to say 50%. Conservatively, I move through my inbox 30% faster. And I think it's higher than that. And so that saving to me of time every day, every week is well worth $30 a month. They don't have a affiliate program, but they do have a referral discount if anybody's interested. But if you're a power user and you get a ton of email and too much of your day is being eaten up by processing email, I think it's worth considering and worth looking into. And like I said, this box is a link and we'll take you there if you want to check it out and get more information. But I live in this program. This is a find for me relatively recently. A lot of people are using Calendly, which is a scheduler, in order to have people book appointments by themselves. And miraculously, cal.com is free. So I call it the free Calendly. And it's been really working well. And I've been using it more and more to book one-to-ones. In fact, I think Chris and I had one the other day that she's nodding. She just went, I gave her my cal.com link and she went there and booked it. She automatically got a custom Zoom link because I have cal.com hooked to my Zoom account, and got a calendar invite as well. It's amazing. And you could also use it to book paid consulting or other kinds of appointments like that as well. It really works well. It's clean. And did I mention that it's free? So that's the personal productivity. We're doing well on time. So video communicators. So a quick side note is that I'm a video advocate. And I think, did I do a slide? Well, the reason that I'm such a big video advocate is that I think that people, marketing is about relationship building, as I implied with the first chapter title. And there is no substitute for making eye contact and getting a feel for who somebody is. And so doing video, if you want to build an online presence, if you want to build online relationships, that's not for everybody, is in my mind essential. And it's not just because I've been a video guy for many years. It's because video has an ability to communicate that nothing else does. So these are the apps that I use to produce video. It's not one thing. So Tela.tv, how many of you heard, you can look in the video, how many of you have heard of Loom or have used Loom? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so Tela is like Loom, but better. It has the ability, one of the things that I love about it is this automated transitions. So rather than when you record, like in Loom, your video and the screen share are one and the same, essentially, they're merged together. It records them as separate tracks. So when you go into the tele editing, you can choose a vertical format or you can choose a horizontal format. And then you can resize on a scene, create scenes. So if, for example, I start out with myself full screen and then I reduce my size, like I often do in my TikToks, to show what I'm sharing on the screen more prominently, I change layouts and then it automatically zooms me down to my new position. I don't have to program that. And even in more sophisticated programs like Premiere or Final Cut, that can be a bunch of work, and it automates that process. So for creating short videos where I want to share screen, and I do this often on TikTok, this is something that I use. On the other hand, when I'm recording my Video Mojo podcast, Riverside has become awesome. It's Riverside is a really powerful podcast style video recording suite, if you will. So it records differently than we're doing here on Zoom. In fact, I was going to mention that I seriously considered presenting this webinar today inside Riverside, and I just opted for a little more simplicity by doing it on Zoom and recording in Zoom. But when I do my Video Mojo podcast, they're one-on-one conversations, and that is something that Riverside excels at. So the quality is better because it has a technology where it records to your local hard drive and then uploads to the cloud in the background while you're still recording, as opposed to this recording is happening kind of right away, and the web is much more involved. And it does multi-track recording, so again, things are separate. When I'm interviewing, if I was going to interview Vince, I would be on one track, Vince would be on the other track. We could have screen sharing on another track. We could have 4 or 5 people. And then in editing, and particularly when I take that interview and want to make it into short clips, I can reformat those individuals however I want to in presenting it and in cutting between scenes so that it's more like a TV show. They do magic clips, which is similar to an app that I didn't document here called Opus Clips, that people are using to take short clips out of long form videos. But I like having everything in one place. And the other thing is that it's got live streaming. So something is on my agenda to learn to do with Riverside is record in Riverside and at the same time be live on LinkedIn and be live on YouTube. So it's got those kind of capabilities. Really, really powerful platform. This guy here that is shown in the little preview is one of their main trainers, and he's on YouTube as well as on their site, walking you through the different aspects. This is not like something you pick up in a day. It's definitely got a lot of sophistication to it, but the results and the power of it are definitely worth it, in my opinion. And I can't talk about video without talking about TikTok. I know a lot of people my age are resistant to TikTok, but it is the place for that kind of show your face conversation that I was talking about that I think is so important with video. Video is clearly the most dynamic and most rapidly increasing form of social media now. LinkedIn has publicly stated that they're prioritizing it, for example. TikTok is much more playful, but it's not all teenagers and it's not all dancing. There's political stuff on there. I mean, and what's cool is that their secret sauce is their algorithm. So I'm interested in golf. I end up getting more golf clips than I realize because I've indicated that that's an interest. I'm only bringing that up as an example. Whatever you're interested in, whatever you like, if you spend a little time there, it learns what you like faster than anything else and gives you more of it. So that really makes it fun. My workflow at the moment, for those of you that are really into the video geekdom, is that I have been recording either in Tela or in the TikTok app, which people say the algorithm prefers in terms of getting you out there. Which reminds me, the one big takeaway, the biggest thing about TikTok, if you're into social media marketing, is that you get exposed to new people. Facebook is the other end of the spectrum where your stuff that you're posting is only being seen by your quote unquote friends. TikTok finds you friends, essentially. because if I'm posting about AI and marketing, it finds other people that are interested in AI and marketing and pushes my content to them, simply stated. So I'm kind of TikTok first with my social media videos, but I don't want to repost things with the TikTok logo. So this is another app that I didn't count in my 20, PullTube, which is basically a utility which can download the TikToks without the logo. It also can basically download any video off any website. And one of the fun side notes about it is that it's actually a small developer in Kyiv, Ukraine. So yes, there are real people doing real business on the internet in Kyiv, Ukraine, despite the war. And he's a really nice guy. I've actually talked to him, or I've emailed with him, and he, basically, if you can find a video on the web that you can't download and email him, he sends an update of the application that can now do the video that couldn't be downloaded. So that's a side app that I wanted to include. And I threw this in at the last minute because I realized, hey, what video app am I using today? And I use it all the time. I do pay for Zoom. I have a professional account. I do all of my weekly creativity sandbox. We do live sessions once a week, and those are also on Zoom. It's the easiest to use. People are more familiar with it. It definitely is stable. There have more and more apps now. Some other people use Google Meet as one alternative. There are many alternatives, but Zoom is the standard, and it works well for me, and I use it all the time. Okay, and here we now arrive at generative AI. These are the AI apps that I'm finding indispensable and why. And I love this little meme of this is me pretending that AI isn't taking over the world. Guess what? AI is taking over the world. And that's a whole long conversation that I'm happy to have. But I'm going to show you apps today. So, but I can't talk about AI without at least including a side note about human in the loop. So, human in the loop is an essential concept. People have a tendency to think about AI like a toaster. Like you put something in, you push a button, you get the result. This is not how AI works. I broke it down. This is my interpretation that there are really three stages. AI doesn't have any intention. It just sits there and waits. You show up and you say, I want to create a business plan for a new restaurant, whatever. You have the intention. You create the initial prompt. You start the conversation. Then AI is this incredible thought partner, co-collaborator, co-creator. Obviously, we're not even talking about images and videos, but it comes back with its suggestions, its ideas, its drafts. Then you are back into the game as the human in the loop saying, I like this one, I don't like that one. Oh, I forgot to tell you that I want to include this, et cetera, et cetera. It's very much like hiring an intern or hiring a consultant. You have to tell them what you want, then you have to see what you get, and then you have to iterate and continue to improve in a conversational, iterative process. And it's the iterative process, in my experience, where the good stuff really happens. So and there's another chart with Napkin AI. So that I could go on, but that's an essential piece. Don't think about AI as a machine that just has output. Think about it as a co-creator, as a collaborator. So I couldn't find this Ali Abdal bell curve chart, but in one of his workshops, and Ali is a great YouTuber and wrote a book on productivity called Feel Good Productivity that I recommend. Basically, he said newbies start out with ChatGPT, then at the top of the bell curve, all these other applications, like I mentioned, Claude and Grok, who are just two of the many other options. And then the ninjas on the other side come back to ChatGPT. And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm not really spending time in the other apps except the ones that I'm going to show you. But I use ChatGPT search, which is, I do pay for the plus level, but ChatGPT search is, I used to use a lot of Google. I used to use a lot of Wikipedia, and I don't use it anymore. And let me give you an example. So I am reading a book called Tiny Experiments. And there was this quote from Emil Niazi, no goals, just vibes. And I really loved it. I want to know more about that. So and it didn't even grammatically correct, right? I just said the quote, explain and give context. It gave me this gorgeous context. It's a critique of hustle culture. I'm not going to read the whole thing. It addresses mental health and burnout. It's also very active as a social influence. Okay, who is this person? Boom, I just get a one paragraph summary. That's all I wanted. I didn't need to dig down into Wikipedia. And then I even got a video about how to pronounce her name. So that's just a really, really simple example. I probably do that half a dozen times a day, just kind of stuff I want to learn more about. But the ChatGPT search is just working great. The other thing that I want to show you that people just don't use enough of is this tab over here, Explore GPTs. This is a marketplace. And these are some of the ones I created my own GPT. Secondhand Specialist is for selling things on eBay and Facebook Marketplace. Prompt Wizard will tell you how to write a prompt. Mailed it as an email companion that is trained on a book about email marketing. So you can use the search and find whatever you want. Manifest Your Dream Life. One of the things to notice here is that it has 10K conversations. You'll find ones like mine that just have a few, but you can find any subject pretty much and get a GPT that is optimized for that process. And you don't need to, because ChatGPT is friggin' smarter than I know what to do with. And the other thing I want to mention is keep memory turned on. I've been having a lot of fun recently with a prompt based on everything you know about me. Do a deep psychological dive about my strengths, my weaknesses, and what comes back is like extraordinary. I also have been feeding my dreams to ChatGPT, and it suggests symbolism that is pretty darn interesting. So the bottom line is to play with it. The other thing is, I'm going to get my phone, advanced voice mode, which is on the app. Make sure you get the OpenAI ChatGPT app. If you want me to demo that later, I will, but it's extraordinary. I'm going to move on. But anyway, I use ChatGPT all the time. This is my other one that not everybody should know about, and many people don't, particularly if you're in business and doing presentations. This presentation that I'm doing right now is in Gamma. It also will be so I'm going to take this presentation. I'm going to actually show you edit mode. So I'm going to exit the presentation mode. So basically when I do share, I'll do a PDF, right? And I can just, export. So I can export a PDF. I can export a PowerPoint. I can go to Google Slides. I can make it graphics. It also does websites. It also does social media images. But just to give you a taste, one of the other things that I love about it, let's say I didn't like this logo. So I double click on the logo, and here is web search images that I use to put that logo in there. But that's not my only option. I might have an image that I created that's on my hard drive, so I can upload it. I can search for web images. Unsplash is a library of license-free images. You can get GIFs, etc. But where I'm like to play is here in the AI-generated images. And these are all image models that you can access within Gamma. So actually, this was the one that I meant to have for this presentation. Oh, I see. I have that one later. That's what it is. You can have your prompt enhanced. You can have the graphic that you generate be square, be portrait, be landscape. For fun, I think I need to, I don't know who, let's just say we're going to do a Zoom community, and we're going to use Flux, and we're going to generate. So I don't know why I'm doing a Zoom community for a Gamma image, but boom. It's like, and these are not real people, just in case you were wondering. These are just AI. And I could have said, graphic illustration. Of a Zoom community, and I could ask it to enhance the prompt. A vibrant illustration of a community of people connected through video conferencing technology. And this is built into Gamma. So I'm not having to go to an AI image generator, download the image that I want to use, upload it into Gamma, and then format it. It's right here. This is mind blowing to me. This kind of makes, I do my weekly presentations in the Creativity Sandbox inside Gamma. It's just a wonderful thing. Now, let me see if I go. I'm doing undo just to take myself back where I was, but I can do that later if it doesn't come back. Oh, I see. Back one more. Maybe not. There we go. So moving on back to presentation mode. This is where we get to show Vince's project. So the one other AI that I do use, and I'll show you why, is Notebook LM, which is a free product from Google that is also mind-blowingly powerful. And I think the easiest way to talk about it is to show it, and I believe I have it open in one of my tabs here. Yes, I do. So these are my notebooks. Vince is working on Wind in Their Sails, WITS is the abbreviation, documentary. And he's been doing a lot of pre-production. So all of these sources, you can add up to 50 sources, are audio interviews that he did with various people who are involved in these. I guess I didn't say the documentary is about, here, there's a summary right here that the AI wrote. That's about the rich history of these vintage sailing yachts, like from the 40s, and what's going on with restoring them, what's going on with some of them die. That's the subtitle is something and resurrection.
Death and Resurrection.
Death and Resurrection. Thank you. There's the producer himself. So we not only can add a note, we can get an audio overview, we can get a briefing document, and it's a chatbot as well. So we went through and asked it to pull out the most important clips. That's what these are all notes now that we've got as part of the database. But one of the things that we also did is we talked to the AI about the story structure of the documentary and what kind of narrative it should have. And there are documents that we did on that. The other thing that I'm not going to take the time because we're running out of time here to do is these audio overviews, which if you haven't heard it, take your Google ID, go to notebooklm.google.com and generate an audio overview because they are human-like conversations about whatever data you load in. Just to give you another quick example, I have one based on my Video Mojo episodes that relate to AI and creativity. All I did for these sources was paste in the URL of my YouTube of each of these Video Mojo episodes. And then I can talk to AI to pull out what are the main themes that I talk about, who discusses what where. I mean, it just goes on. And again, I could create a study guide, I could do an FAQ, I can do a briefing document, and I can do an audio overview virtual podcast. Incredibly powerful, particularly when you have a bunch of resource data like Joel has, and you want to create summaries and encapsulations and highlights and so forth. So another tool that I am using actively, for example, with Vince. And if you want to support Vince's Wind in the Sails, Death and Resurrection documentary, he's raising money. It's in pre-production, and that's his link to the Facebook, which will be in your PDF. The one graphic program that I do use often is Ideogram. And just for fun, I'm going to do a very fast demo of it. This is just an image that I was going to use. They do one of the things to know that a lot of people overlook. So these are all different styles done inside Ideogram. And one of its things is that it will do text pretty well. It's not perfect. No AI is perfect, but you have all these styles, and all you need to do is we'll do the same prompt a little bit differently here. Is that illustration. Actually, I could just click down here and say, I want a design of a Zoom community of creators. And one of the things I like is this interface is really easy. and flexible. So sometimes for an email, I want a really narrow banner. A normal, YouTube thumbnail as well as video image would be 16 by 9. You can also go vertical, et cetera, et cetera. It also gives you pre-built color palettes. If you go to the pro level, you can do your own custom brand color palette. But for the sake of time, I'm just going to go with this totally vague prompt, right? I didn't. You could spell it out. You could say what kind of people they are. This was actually, I have a Candida client, so these are images that I was working on. I have an airport bus company. These are other images I was working on. And here are 4 options, and this is where I say iterate, iterate, iterate. So here's my illustration of a Zoom community. I like that one. But boom. I mean, if you haven't seen generative AI do images, that might have just blown your cookies or whatever my friend said. So that's the other one is ideogram that I use consistently, in part because it does text. For example, you could do whole social media graphics with this level of text. And the last one, which I said at the beginning, I don't really use, but I've played with. But if you're interested at all in making your own music, Suno is definitely worth checking out. So I ran a little bit over. I'm going to stop screen sharing and take a breath. And who's got questions? This is the live Q&A section. And how was that? Feel free to say anything.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, you're like, Charlie, thank you. What, and any particular area that you're more interested in?
Certainly the one you led with, a napkin. I love a good information graphic and kind of sets the tone. So I didn't know about that, and I'm really impressed.
Cool. Well, I can show a little bit of that if you want. Are there other questions? Anybody just chime in, unmute yourself, and ask a question.
John, let me see. I'm wondering, I have a bunch of recordings of work I've done. How do I convert that to a visual audio like presentation where people are
So
involved?
video recordings or audio recordings?
Audio to
Yeah.
audio to video.
Say that again.
I want to take audio recordings and have it be a video presentation.
Well, that's the kind of thing that the Canva video, and there's lots of different ways to. The question is, what are we going to do for the images?
Right.
What do you, if you're going to take an audio bed and illustrate it, is it a slideshow that we could create in Gamma and then, use the audio bed and create a Gamma presentation that we put on top of it? That would be one approach.
Right.
It's a longer conversation because there's not one, there isn't like, boom, this is the answer. But there are really some sophisticated video apps as well that can sense what the content is and suggest video or suggest images, and then we would go through and edit it to make sure that it's what we want. But it's what AI can do is really give you a first draft much faster than we could before.
Yeah, good. Thanks.
Does that help?
Yeah, fascinating. I'm a novice, beginner novice, and I'm getting my mind blown on this whole AI.
Yeah, well, I'm here to help. So that's why we're having that conversation that we've already started.
Yeah, thanks.
So one of the things that I'm doing, John, is taking some of the audio only bites that I have and matching them up with B-roll, which I've shot. So
he's talking video speak. B-roll means he's putting footage of what he shot over the audio.
Yeah, and that's worked really well.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. All right. So unless there's other questions, should I do a quick demo of Napkin? Because sure. Napkin's very fun. Yeah, and I see Bon likes that idea too. So back to Chrome. So I think left Napkin open. If the little Zoom thing will go away. Maybe I didn't. Oh no, that's okay. So I'll show you with that little graphic that I showed you earlier. Yeah. So
Right.
basically, I put in these bullets, right? My app ecosystem, and then the four categories of the presentation. And I mouse over that and this little blue lightning bolt. And you can see the text says generate visuals. Can you see that?
Hmm.
So then you see these dots. This is the AI formulating. How are we going to illustrate? Which, I did the version down below. So then it comes up with, do I want to do it in this file, the style I chose? This was one that I thought about but didn't use. And then there also are
Mm.
a bunch of options. So you get to
Wow.
choose all with the text already laid in it. Right. So I don't know. I mean, we could just choose anything. Let's go with this for now. And then once you select it, then you have different color schemes
Hmm.
that you don't have to go in and, in other programs I've seen, you would have to, edit whether you wanted solid or whether you wanted to, and kind of almost go like element by element. You could have it black and white with more hand drawn font. So all of that is in there. So let's say that I chose this one. So now it's done, but I could say, oh, I don't really like this, or I want this to be bold, or I can customize it. So that's it. I mean, when you create a new napkin, you can draft it with AI or have it be blank, right? So I mean, I guess going with our theme, I could say, vibrant community of creators on Zoom. I don't know, but now it's going to generate text based on its understanding of what that means. So when you use the AI, it writes it, right? So I'm
Good
into the
heavens.
power of connection. So let's create images. Now it's thinking, right? Let's create diagrams that relate to the power of connection. Looks familiar. They're diagrams, but this is a different one. Supportive community, break geographical barriers, enable real-time conversation, facilitate ideas. I mean, I didn't say any of that, right? It just fleshed out the concept that I gave it. And again, you don't have to use this approach. I like this, pros and cons. And again, to have all these icons pre-selected is really fun. Let's say I'll show you one other thing. Let's say that I chose that and I'll go with this style. Say I don't like this one. Pretty sure I did this in here. Come on, I'm double clicking. Oh yeah, so I can change the icon. Let's say I want this icon. Is that the one that I had? Or I like that one a little more bolder, right? I thought there were, I guess it was, I'm thinking in Gamma, I was changing icons. Yeah, in
Mm.
Gamma, I was changing icons and it gave me like a whole set of icons to choose from. Their whole library was there. This is so AI centric. Image fatigue with this. I like that one better. Does that give you an idea, Charlie?
Yeah, that's fantastic. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, this is like one of those utilities that really serves a useful purpose. Now,
Hmm.
let me go somewhere. I love flying without a net or whatever you call it. Um, one of the things that I haven't done with Gamma that I was looking at, and I'll show you a little bit more of Gamma. So if I go into exit out of presentation mode so that I can edit this, um, it has, come on, baby, loading up. I'm going to reload. I wonder if my internet, there we go. So let's say that I wanted to insert a diagram. I'm still in presentation mode. On that. Yep. Okay, so now I'm in the editor, right? I can see all my pages on the left. So I have the option, I could add cells here, or I could also just hit return, I think. Yeah, and I think I can do, yeah, blank diagram. And then can you see this pop up with,
Mm-hmm.
oh, this is asking me to draw it.
Mm.
That isn't what I meant to do. I don't want to draw a diagram. Come on. Um, over here, let's see if I can just switch it. Yeah, here's charts and diagrams. Look at this. This is all the charts and diagrams that Gamma has built into it. Right. So it's not, this is going to be a little bit more work, but let's say that I want to do a flywheel. Now it's giving me the ability to edit it, but it's definitely harder to work with and not as fast as it is inside Napkin. So I created that chart inside Napkin and just imported it.
Mm-hmm.
And what was interesting, Gamma, this one had, so you have to be careful where you select. That's one thing that I'm going to tell you, because I want to select this whole image.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. So now I can export it up here, and it'll export as a PNG, SVG, or PDF. I can do it in light mode or dark mode, which is one thing I got stuck on. Or I can just click on the clipboard,
Mm-hmm.
and that copies it, and I pasted it into Gamma without having to download it to my hard drive and re-upload it to Gamma. Just copy paste. So this is pretty clean export module in my opinion. Background on or off. You can upscale the res if you need it. Cool stuff, eh?
Very cool.
All right. Well, we're at time. This was great. I really appreciate your time. And again, I want to hear from you about, particularly, is it productivity? Is it marketing? Is it AI? Is it video? Those are the 4 categories. Or in general, what did you like? What did you not like? How can we make it better? You're my people. I want to hear from you. And oh, you know what I didn't do that I guess is by one aspect of closure, I was feeling a little rushed because I was behind schedule. But I will give you the ways to connect with me. Why not, right? Because I do like hearing from you, and like I said, I want to make it how you want it and do content that you find interesting. Oh, look, I changed the thing. I got to do undo again. All right, I'll fix that later. So this is me. So the play.com, that's the links page that I showed you. There's my email. You can literally use this cal.com link and book a 15-minute conversation. If I can be useful or you just want to get to know each other better, I do those all the time and they're fun. I like doing it. I like getting to know people. Let me know how I can help. We do have an ongoing community. There's a 6-month commitment for the Creativity Sandbox. It's an exclusive club at the moment, but the people in there, the framework for developing a creative practice, having accountability to the community, and just plain playing, I call it creative chutzpah, is really working. People are having a really fun time, and I'm having a fun time. So yeah, and I'm on TikTok and Instagram and I should say LinkedIn. Well, at John Bridges doesn't work on LinkedIn, but I'm most active on TikTok and LinkedIn at the moment. So appreciate follows and likes, and that's another way that you can provide support should you be so inclined. Those likes and comments really help. So thanks again for being here, and thanks for hanging out.
Thank you.
Yeah.